Hey there. Today, I want to talk about how being a horse owner makes you a horse trainer. The horse doesn't know the difference. Every interaction, especially the subtle cues and the movements of the head or the shifting position, taking a step, your horse is communicating with you, asking, "Is this what you want?" Most people who interact with a horse have no idea they are in a full conversation with the horse, but you're answering them and you don't even know what you're saying or how to say it. So, welcome back to Dunn Mountain Homesteading, where we cover many topics. Today, we're back on our horse adventures. Let's get into it. How can we better communicate with our horses to encourage the small behaviors that ultimately build the personality of your horse? It starts with all the little things you do on every interaction with them. Whether it's petting them, leading them, brushing them, driving a tractor by, looking at them, any interaction you make. If you go to pet your horse and your horse moves its head away and you take your hand back, you're telling your horse, "I want you to take your head away when I go to pet you." The best thing would be to keep your hand there and get your horse to look at you and then retreat the pressure, and you would be encouraging him, telling him, "I want you to look at me," by releasing the pressure at the right time. Whenever I'm interacting or within sight of my horse, I'm always looking for the smallest cues my horse is asking me. That way, I can be sure to release any pressure that I am creating, whether it's driving a tractor by his pen and timing it so that when he relaxes is when I drive away, to encourage him to think, "If I relax, that's the right answer." I always ask my horse every day, and a similar question, I believe Yahweh asked us the question, "Do you trust me?" I ask my horse these three questions. Do you submit to me as the alpha? Do you trust me to keep you safe? And do you enjoy the time spend with me? When you have a horse that submits with you as the alpha, he will not challenge you. He doesn't nip at you. He doesn't try to kick you. He will move his feet when you ask him very willingly. He'll stand there. He's relaxed. He's not nervous of you. Just as I'm doing here, I'm desensitizing her. I use the whip to sensitize, but it's not a tool to fear, it's a tool to respect, just as I am. I am a leader that, just as in the hierarchy, the horse goes around and makes sure that all the other horses will move their feet in an instance if there's trouble. You'll notice when a horse is in the herd, they will always shift their weight of their body before they take a step. It's a pre-cue to the other horses they're getting ready to move. If you if a horse in a herd moves its feet, it'll catch the attention of the other horses and they'll watch him to see if that horse saw something and if there's danger. It's partially how I stud interacts with the other horses is to establish his dominance. Just as I'm doing here, I'm asking my horse, does she respect me? And prior, I was asking her, does she trust me as far as my stick and string? Is she fearful of it, or is it a respect? As far as the time, does she enjoy the time with me? That's a relationship that happens over time. That when you have a horse that ultimately sees you as the leader, they can trust you and they enjoy the time. Horses love running with each other. And when you can be one out there that they can run with, go out there and just go in a pasture and run next to your horse. They will get so excited, and it creates a bond that your horse will be so much more willing to learn. They will be looking at you as a partner and enjoying the time. She's a little frisky, but all the interactions from leading to brushing, petting, feeding routines, you're communicating with your horse whether you know it or not. I'm very particular on how my horse acts during a feeding routine for one. It's a great time to test your horse how much they submit to you when they have something on their mind tempting them. Do they fully listen and give you their face, or do they turn their butt towards you in disrespect? Do they walk off, or will they let you walk up to them and stand there and give you their attention? You have to set up the scenario as so you're not misunderstanding their actions, as though you throw the food behind them and they walk towards it, and you can't take that as a sign of disrespect, but set the scenario up and see if your horse, if you put food in there, can you go in there and put a halter on, or is your horse trying to keep his head away from you? If he won't let you catch him, he's not submitting to you, or the horse has been taught through subtle interactions that he can get away with these behaviors and it's okay. If you went in to try to catch him and he turned his head away and you backed off, you're encouraging that horse to step away and making it harder for you to halter him. And every interaction that he steps away and gets the pressure released just re-encourages that's the behavior that you want. It's not malevolent. It's not. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He thinks he's doing what you're asking, and he's also looking for the most pleasure, the benefit of his world. So you've got to make what he wants hard and what you want easy. Pave the road to success in front of him as the opportunity for what you're asking, and make what you don't want more difficult. So if you're going up to put a halter on him and there's food and he's stepping away, then if he's in a small enough pen, you might just try to round pen him in that pen and make it uncomfortable. If he wants to walk off, he has to move his feet. And then as soon as he'll face you, walk up to you because you're standing at the food, he has to face you. Put the halter on him and let him eat. Take the halter off and walk off. And you do that a few times, and your horse is going to stand there and say, okay, so you want me to face you when you put food, and he'll understand what you're asking. He's willing. He just needs a little guidance to understand. A couple questions I would ask yourself. How am I creating pressure, and what am I doing to release that pressure during your interactions with your horse? Pressure can be as little as looking at your horse. Or where are you looking at? Your horse will sense where you're looking at on them. If you're just like I'm doing here, I'm jigging, lunging my horse, I'm looking just behind the saddle. If I look towards the front of the saddle, my horse will feel that pressure and start to equate that with a cue that I've already taught her. I'm exaggerating my cues to look at the back end because she's still pretty fresh in training. And eventually I'll get it to where all I have to do is look at it and she will respond. Timing of the handler can create good or bad, undesirable or desirable behaviors in your horse. The problem is some of these subtle cues can lead to a horse challenging you, biting you, kicking at you, and it can become very dangerous if not caught early enough. But those are a few of my thoughts on the topic. At this point, we'll watch the video. I'll probably speed it up a little bit and talk a little bit about the video, my training. Right now I'm doing some lead beside. I lead forward, get her to move forward, or get her to speed up, and then I stand up as soon as she goes the speed I want. And I want her to, when I turn, I want her to be my shadow. So if I turn away from her, I want her to speed up to stay next to me. And if I slow down, I want her to slow down. Without having to pull on the rope, I want her to stay out of my bubble. And here's one. I've been laying her down for about 6 sessions now. She's getting pretty soft about it, but she's laying down far too quick and she's getting up on her own. So I was working on getting her to wait for me, but if a horse gets up on before you ask him, first thing you do is you lay him back down. I point towards her shoulder, then I pick her foot up, I pull it out slightly to the side, and then I pull just gently on her reins to where her head comes towards me, and that's her cue to lay down. But she's in a hurry, and I'm working on trying to slow her down and getting her to where she'll lay down, and that's a good comfortable spot. I love laying horses down because it's the most vulnerable spot they can be, and if you have a horse that's willing to lay down, you know they trust you. If you got a wild horse and you lay them down, their first thought is, I'm dead. And when you, as being the alpha that made them submit to the movement to get in a vulnerable position. They were not willing, but they did it. And then when they get up and they realize you didn't take the opportunity to eat them, they look at you not as a predator, but all of a sudden as an alpha, someone to follow, instead of a predator to fear. They look at you different. When I get a horse is very nervous, one of the first things I like to do is lay them down, and they get up with a different mindset. That was a lot better. At this point, I'm at the cruising lesson where I'm working on getting her to hold a pace and stop to my seat. I hold her rein because I'm big on flexing, so I hold her rein to the side in case she wants to take off. I always flex my horse several times each direction before I walk off. And she's got a very soft face, but she's still a little hesitant with the bit, playing with it a little bit, but she's figuring it out. She's hesitant on backing up, and she doesn't have a lot. She's only a 3-year-old, so I'm building up her lungs, not riding her long days, just trying to build her body and get her a little more endurance built on her. She makes about 10 minutes and she gets pretty winded. Just giving her settled bumps on the on her halter to get her to flex to her neck. At this point, I'm doing a little bit, trying to loosen up that hind end, so I'm having her yield the hind end a little bit, but just working on getting her to soften that head and slow down, and trying to get her mind thinking a little more relaxed. Soften the rear end up, the hind end up if they're getting sticky. I never like to walk straight off if their head's not 100% into it. Thanks for tagging along, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And just remember that when you're interacting with your horse, just watch the subtle cues, the little things that your horse is responding to, and how could you be adding pressure, and when do you release. Look at what is your horse asking you, and how are you answering. How are you adding pressure, and how are you releasing the pressure. Just watch your interactions and how is your horse responding. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, and follow along with us. Up here on Dunn Mountain Homesteading, I have many adventures, and I'm wanting to share some of them with you guys, share some of my tips and journeys, my ups and downs. I live on top of a mountain. We own a homestead on 40 acres up here in Washington. I range hobbies from, we got a sawmill, setting up a wood shop. We've got trees to play with, and been playing with making some different furniture, having fun, and I wanted to show some of my adventures and my woodworking and my horse training. I've been a 7-year unsuccessful beekeeper, and I'm still at it. But I've been learning. I've been taking some courses. I'm learning stuff, and I'm finally putting the input in I should have in the beginning. Learning my lessons the hard way, but I figured I'd share a few of my trials and might shortcut some people along the way. Um, I do a lot of backyard mechanicing. I'm a general ham radio operator. Would love to link up and chat with some people on the ham. I live a very holistic life. I'm kind of a health nut. I've gotten into tinctures, herbs. I've been dedicated to self-improvement. I've got myself a workout room, a gym. So I'm a very into my fitness. I'm into psychology. I have many hobbies, so tag along, and you never know where the journeys might go. Overcome what's possible and let go of what is not. Welcome to Dunn Mountain, where the adventures begin. Thanks for watching, and God bless. Back up. Back up. A little more. Back up. That's better. Alright, come on. We're done.